Hey folks, Phil Gallagher here for round 2 of Daily Death and Taxes. I just spent 3 hours sitting in a tire store waiting for my oil to get changed. So I'm on tilt already, so hopefully nothing ridiculous happens on the other side of the battlefield. Let's just play a good game of Magic. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Let's do it. So opponent plays Stoneforge or Revoker here. I'm definitely at a disadvantage. Yeah, there we go. And I can't really remove that Revoker anytime soon either, to boot. So that's pretty unfortunate. So the dream potentially at some point is going to be to connect with a Revoker that has a Jitte. This turn I could play Stoneforge, get Jitte. Next turn I could put in Jitte, get my own Mom. But at some point I'm also going to need to drop the Revoker. So this turn could be revoke their Mom. Next turn could be Mom plus Stoneforge, and turn 4 could be put it on Revoker, equip, get in there. I think I'm going to start the threat of this now, though. And if my opponent has Swords to Plowshares, maybe my Stoneforge eats an STP rather than my Revoker eating the STP. So opponent needs to decide whether or not they're willing to tap their Mother of Runes, because the cost to this attack can be very high if I actually have Swords to Plowshares. So this is probably going to be another Revoker. Nope, Palace Jailer. So I probably need to keep them off of their 4th land. Which means I need to waste or port. If I was a gambling man, I could just gamble that they don't have the 4th land. But I think that's probably too risky. My opponent's Revoker is just cripplingly good. I would love to draw a land. If I draw a land, I can wasteland their Rashad Port, try to keep them off of Jailer. Play Flicker Wisp. Flicker out one of my planes to represent a Swords to Plowshares. Or flicker out my Stoneforge to get a Sword of Fire and Ice. Great. So now this can just get a Recruiter. Or sorry, get a Revoker and ruin my plans. Yep. So now I can't run away with the game via the Jitte. So I guess my turn is going to involve Flicker Wisping the Stoneforge and Wastelanding them as of right now. So let's leave this at 2. The Palace Jailer is less threatening than it was a turn or two ago, but it's still a huge, huge problem card. Getting a decently long pause from our opponent here. They've got some thinking to do. I think, relatively speaking, I'm going to have to make an all-in play next turn, assuming I don't get, like, Wastelanded or equivalent. I probably have to go, like, Mom, pro-white on Flicker Wisp, and try to get in with a piece of equipment. Well, I like where this is going. Yeah, just tap out. Just tap out. Tap out and hope I don't have another land. Okay. Now, is your Evoker just going to name Mother of Runes now? Nope.
So I get to kill something here. I get to go Mom, pro white on Flicker Wisp, bash in with Sword of Fire and Ice, get a trigger, kill something of my choice. I'm not sure what that something is yet. So if my opponent draws a land, Palace Jailer gets to exile one of my things. How do I get the Monarch back? I get the Monarch back by probably attacking the air with Flicker Wisp if they take out my Mother of Runes. But if I kill their Flicker Wisp here, they just take my Mother of Runes. No. Okay, so if I kill their Flicker Wisp, they Palace Jailer my Flicker Wisp, and then my board is worse than their board. What if I kill their Revoker and open up my Aether Vial? Then I can revoke Mother of Runes? I think I need to open up my Vial. Yeah. That's a fantastic draw. This is all kind of moot if they don't draw the next land. You know, if they don't draw the next land this turn, I think I just absolutely get to snowball this game out of control. Okay. That's interesting, but fine. So let me think about what I'm doing. I revoke Mother of Runes. I crash in with Flicker Wisp. Or alternatively, I don't revoke yet, and I just like hold my Revoker for a turn. I use Mom plus Sword of Fire and Ice to kill Mother of Runes. Then I use Swords to Plowshares to kill whatever creature they try to get in with equipment. That seems fine. So do I just revoke their Sword of Fire and Ice? Yes. Super happy with that draw, obviously. Alright. So we'll send our Flicker Wisp on in there. Kill Mom. Alright, so we don't actually have a Batter Skull to go and get. We have all the pieces of equipment that I'm going to get. So how am I using my mana? One of it does that. I think two of it does this. We'll draw 3 cards. And then we can go ahead and pass the turn. Gotten a little lucky by dodging our opponent not having the 4th land. It's made things way, way easier. Alright, you have a Flicker Wisp. What would you like to do with your Flicker Wisp? You would like to unequip my sword. That's fine. Let's get rid of your Phyrexian Revoker on Jisse. Alright, and our opponent concedes there. Alright, what do we have for the mirror? We got a Stoneforge, a Batter Skull, a Needle, some Council Judgments, and we can fill slots with Gideon and Path to Exile if we need to / want to. Alright, well this card is going to be pretty trash in the mirror. You know, having a 3/3 body is cool, but when you're playing against a deck that plays 2 to 3 Caracas, just like going and having all sorts of legendary creatures is a huge, huge negative. So our starting point is going to be to remove our Thalias, and we probably need to remove at least 2 of these. And then I can make a decision from there about, like, do I want to remove the 3rd one of those and, like, play two paths to Gideon some mixture of, or do I need to, like, actually just keep some bodies around to, like, try and win the games with? I'm at 17 creatures right now, which is like definitely unacceptably low. If I play 2 of those, it leaves me at 19. But I don't really think this card is going to be good in the matchup. Like, the board is going to get stalled. It can let me have the bigger creature pretty easily. It can do some cute things with Mother of Runes. But I don't love it. I think I need to treat my primary win condition as like flyers in the air. And just accept that these may end up like helping me sneak in a few aggro points of damage via Squadron Hawks. And also accept that like these pitching the Force of Virtue is like fine in blowout situations. All right, we have a pretty good opening hand. We hope our opponent doesn't start on a vial, as always. But, you know, it is what it is. Because of the Squadron Hawks, our vial is probably going to be better than their vial as this game goes on, even though their vial hit play first. So I can't do anything about it if they have a Mother of Runes. Like, it's just going to be active. I don't have a secondary white source here. Wastelanding when you're on the draw against Ether Vial doesn't feel good. Alright, they don't have a mob. So there is at least some good news. If they tap their Vial on 2, I probably need to respond by putting a mom in. I expect this to eat, like, Swords to Plowshares, like, given that my opponent has just passed the turn. Yeah. How do I want to do my turn? I think I'm just casting Squadron Hawk. And then vialing in Stoneforge later. So I don't think this is a Phyrexian Revoker. My opponent had so many good opportunities to already put in Revoker, so I'm not going to respond to this. Alright, they have gotten a Jitte. That's really fine at the current stage. So I'm going to get my own Jitte here. So I can pass this turn with Rashadenport and Snow-Covered Plains available to me. And Swords to Plowshare my opponent's creature that they try to connect with Jitte the first time around. And if they don't do that, I have other options available to me. So like I'm holding up Swords to Plowshares for this turn cycle. If I don't need to use it, I just put in my own Jitte. Probably dump in another Squadron Hawk into play before ticking this up to 3 for Flicker Wisp reasons. Okay, that's a Batterskull. No big deal. Like life totals are not particularly relevant right now. So this also may mean that my opponent is stuck on land. Ooh, it does not mean that. Well, they can't connect with Jitte now. So I guess that means that I'll be the one threatening that connection. What are they pausing for? Like, what options could they be thinking about here? I guess they could have been thinking about, like, am I going to make a Stoneforge attack this turn or something like that? A Revoker. I need to respond to that in case they name Vile. They won't. They'll name Jitte, but, you know. Second Squadron Hawk, a little worse than the first. Still pretty okay, though. I think I'm okay with ticking my Vile up, since I'm probably just going to be hard casting a Squadron Hawk this turn. So there's a very strong chance that I'm going to be using my Flicker Wisp to knock the counters off of my opponent's Ether Vial, so that I can Swords to Plowshares Revoker, safely without it getting flicker wisped. Yeah, that's fine. Again, life total's not particularly relevant here. See how much mana my opponent taps down. The more mana they tap down, the more likely I am to want to just get very aggressive with my Flicker Wisp. So now I kind of need them to make a mistake. They're representing like Swords to Plowshares plus Port. So I really need them to port my white source on my turn. So let's knock those counters off their pile. Let's see if they want to do something with this now that I force their hand. All right, it occurs. Pretty happy about that. Port my planes. Port my planes. Port my planes. Do it. Ooh, opponent makes a good play. Well done, opponent. So now I can just delay everything I'm doing by a turn. All right. So next turn, even through port, I have access to Swords to Plowshares Revoker into Get Jitte equipped. And once Jitte is equipped, like, if that's sticking around, I don't have any real problems. Like, I bash for 8 a turn versus my opponent only gaining 4 a turn, so, like, I can actually gain ground on them. After 2 turns, I can outpace the Batter Skull. You know, I can use Jitte to stop the life gain my opponent is doing. I will just have so many options. Okay. So the opponent's smart. They'll go for a second Revoker on Jitte here. Because I think I've telegraphed my plan pretty clearly. Now they're giving it a lot of thought. Like they could be very worried that like I have a flicker wisp. Like I've been sitting on some cards for a little while. So like they could be okay, yeah, they go for the second one on Jitte. I like it. That's actually pretty sweet. Send in the Air Force. I feel relatively safe right now. Not 100%, but relatively safe. I'm just going to trade my germ for their germ and continue to assault them with my Air Force. If I force them to use their turns to like port down my port so I can't get this Batter Skull equipped, like that's 2 of their mana tied up when I have 7 power in the air. I'm totally fine with this. And if they don't do anything too interesting with their turn, like I can just Swords of Plowshares their Stoneforge at some point and stop all the Batter Skull bouncing shenanigans. You would like to Swords of Plowshares my Stoneforge Mystic. Well, then I might end up doing the same, friend. The awkward thing about me getting your Stoneforge Mystic is that you can port down my port, but I can't port down your port currently. Yeah, I think I'm going to just do it after they bounce their Batter Skull. Or that can happen. They've opted not to port me to bounce their Batter Skull, which means since I drew the land, I can just get this equipped. So much flying damage. I think that probably leaves you dead, friend. I think you had to leave the Batter Skull in play, hoping to spike a land so that you could get some lifelink back. Like, you could have something else over there. But all my attackers are in the air. What a game. That was fun. We've had a couple of just like absolutely crazy mirrors lately. Alright, I'll be back tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed.